But just a couple things that might help understand the reading tonight. One is, as Christine was saying, the characters come from Abbott's Flatland. And there are these geometric figures in a sense, but it's also the characters are square, circle, and they have a daughter named Oval. And the names also come from the fact that on pedigree charts, the square is used for male, and the symbol for female is a circle. So the book's about identity, and as Christina said more eloquently than I, it's this identity that's rooted in biology, a legacy that we receive, as well as a legacy of language that we receive but also make. And in Abbott's book, as I was saying earlier in the day, the question that drives Square is this ontological question. Since he's this flat geometric figure that lives on the page, he's trying to imagine what a third dimension could be. The ontological question that drives him is what could upward, but not northward mean? And I hope that informs this reading tonight. One other thing, AGCT are the initials for the chemical bases that make up the DNA code: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. And other than that, I guess we get started. There's two epigrams I'd like to begin with that I just sort of like, and they seem to say something about the piece. The first is from Robert Duncan. It seems to me that I take place out there. And the other is from John Barth. Oh God, comma, I abhor self-consciousness. Sound okay?
Can you hear him? Not using my phone.
Sure.
No, yes.
Sort of.
Sort of. Okay, so that's not good. Sort of isn't good.
Oh, yeah. Should I talk louder or talk closer? I'm almost licking it.
Close as possible.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we should eat the
I
microphone.
think I'll just hold it. Can I just hold it?
Yeah, actually.
Can I hold it like this? Yeah. Okay, let me do this.
Can we all do that? Yeah, we can do it. Oh, okay.
On the nature of flatland. Imagine a vast sheet of paper on which straight lines, triangles, squares, pentagons, hexagons, and other figures move freely about, but without the power to rise above or sink below it, and you will then have a pretty correct notion of my country and countrymen. Edwin A. Abbott, Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions, 1884. First pain, then knowledge, a paper cut. He kissed his finger, a gesture of shh, making him both Judas and first and truest lover to his body. A kiss, like hers, for hers, comforting as he lay down with the scalpel.
Bright and shining.
On the page in his lap, the world,
Truth,
he'd been writing into existence,
slicing membranes.
was dead skin white, paper sans corpuscles, nothing more. The bubble of presence that people and dramas had occupied pricked by less than a sting, and he buried them
So effortlessly that it would be bloodless.
beneath the hospital form he had cut himself on. Figure out how your story's going to end? Circle asked, endorphin flattening canals to dampen an uprush of breath through her body into a note of sadness, the octave of a bassoon, because she hadn't found him filling out the consent form he knew. She crossed her legs, one bare thigh so high on the other that they seemed to cross at the hips. Bauhaus dimensions always made her face seem modern to Square, symmetrical with her angular body, unlike Rubens' puffy women. Likewise, Circle's wide smile, full lips were nothing like the pinched mouth of Victorians, a heritage of genes giving her face and body proportions that happened to be in vogue at their moment in history, a gift. She stopped flipping through an intimate apparel's catalog, its cover model sporting lacy bra, silky smile. His own electrochemistry opened the circle of his mouth to make a soft no, though in truth he had already written his name where it said patient, Square. Her eyes remained trained on his.
That ancient hello between hunter and hunted.
reshuffled the consent form behind the story he'd been trying to write.
Basic story.
Barely perceptible changes in facial muscles clouded her features.
As they often put it in literature.
And he added, "But I will." At first it seemed ludicrous to say that a person could write things they didn't intend.
As if a hand is the palette of a Ouija board.
But the cross-outs on his rough drafts, the arrows and additions mocked him. He tried to tell himself that the final draft, the version that would appear fixed in print, would be the real thing, the thing he wanted to say. But once he'd X'd out that first word, wasn't what was left revisionist history? And wasn't history, revisionist or otherwise, as much an act of selective forgetting as it was remembering? The way the men who wrote "We the People" forgot to include Hottentots.
Or the way George Christine Jorgensen, Flatland's first transsexual, had to forget her body in order to remember his body.
Dear sir or madam, the problem in writing a story, like editing a body, was in trying to make sense of a pool of ideas.
AGCT.
Before the age of dioramas.
Well, maybe not forgotten, Square wanted to tell Circle, trying to get scatterings to agglutinate.
G.
Astrade.
C.
She. He.
Bits and fragments come together.
Adenine.
Like nucleotides.
Like cells.
Thymine.
Some split apart and die.
Guanine.
Others hold up, linking up.
TAG. GAT. Cytosine.
Into double helixes.
Or recombine.
Double helixes being both message and material.
CAT.
Mostly noticed.
People just became institutionalized, he wanted to say.
Like Martha Nelson admitted to the Columbus State Institute for the Feeble-Minded.
Message and material becoming bodies solid as bricks.
Where she lived for the next 100 years.
No, that's not right.
A premise of Claus making some conclusions natural.
Bodies malleable as?
The problem was the pool was so vast you could be swimming in it unawares. But how could anyone explain that?
Claus not much use as fins.
Words being both the material and message of language.
National Christian League for the promotion of racial purity.
And if it's in the language, it's in the thoughts.
French Academy for promotion of language purity.
And that's what worried him, he wanted to tell Circle, about bodies, a legacy.
Often unawares.
1970 laws carrying on 1907 traditions.
Of hidden histories, like the Y chromosome, traceable to a single ancestor.
The unseen, 188,000 years ago. Societies of ants going back 100 million years. Mollusks, 150 million years.
A common ancestor.
English father, Dutch vader, Gothic fodder, Old Norse var, German vater, Greek pater, French père, Spanish padre, Sanskrit pitar, Old Irish ether.
The unconsidered.
One English family, the Temple, Nugent, Ascot, Bridges, Chandos, Chenvilles, now extinct, had a family shield with 719 symbols, each an icon of their blood tie to another aristocratic lineage.
Or their parents.
Billions of parents.
Inheritance being a matter of lineage, lineage being a matter of descendancy.
Whites in South Africa.
Descendancy being a matter of pedigree.
Both message and material.
Etymology. This is why isolated gene populations have so few surnames.
The Amish.
Have you ever counted the Castros in the Miami phone book? He wanted to ask. Likewise, 10,000 DNA samples.
Gypsy moths.
Afghans, Apaches, Basques, Bushmen.
Sabatium clandestine.
And hundreds of others.
Mollusks.
All pointing to a common ancestor. Family trees and language trees overlapping like a branch in its shadow.
125,000 generations and counting.
It's just that they combined in ways that weren't always predictable, he wanted to say.
Like words.
Material.
The 3,000 million letters of the DNA lexicon that is a human, after all, being the same letters used to compose a tree.
Or a butterfly.
A matter of vocabulary.
Message.
Like the name Eugene, good gene, well-bred, which came into the language via eugenics.
Cognate with euthanasia, good death.
Statistics are a wonderful tool to reveal untold histories, he began to say. The figure in the carpet, 10,000 billion ants on Earth.
Average slope of forehead. Whites, men, 134 degrees. Whites, women, 138 degrees. Children, 137 degrees. Newborn infants, white, 141 degrees. Chinese, 142 degrees.